Elizabeth, Beisel, oh, so glad you're here. You know, I've always looked up to you, you're a swimmer. I think we got a lot in common because, I was a lifeguard for a number of years, and, I just feel like we're really, right on the same level there.
Yeah. Definitely the same level then.
Well, maybe on the author thing, because, I wrote a book. It's a little kid's book.
Right.
It was something cool. I kind of self-published it and everything. And, it's not really a story about me or to inspire. It's kind of a funny thing. I mean, and you're an author too now.
Yeah, I am. Isn't it crazy? We're both authors.
Yeah. It's a lot of words. Mine's I'm just going to try it now.
Should we just go now?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to Carpooling with Ben, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very prominent Rhode Islander and prominent swimmer in the world. I mean, Michael Phelps, who?
Right. Who's that?
Who are the other
Come
people?
on.
I mean, I can't even think of them.
I think of swimming. Because it's just me.
That's right. When I think of swimming, when I think of U.S. swimming, I think of Elizabeth Beisel.
Like Elizabeth
in
Beisel.
the car, joining me. Thank you so much
Let's
for
do it.
hopping
Thanks for
in.
having me, Ben.
So great to have you here. You're officially retired from swimming, but you are not retired from having fun and just doing amazing things. You were recently on Survivor.
Yep.
You've written a book. You go out and speak at groups and schools. You do commentary for swimming events. God willing, I am pulling for you that the NBC people smarten up and make the right decision and put you at the helm when it comes to the next Olympics.
Right.
Because you've got some bling bling and hardware from it. I mean, they wouldn't want me if I had to lose it to anybody.
Ben, I think we'd be a great duo, though. I think they would be smarter if they hired both of us.
I don't know. How is your temperament in dealing with people with ADHD? Because I have it real bad.
Same. So we would be great together. We would be like, oh my God, bird, swimmer, what's that? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, the Olympics. Okay, let's go. We'd be great.
We're like playing solitaire.
Yeah.
Cards.
Chess
what?
game.
Crap.
Oh, somebody won a gold medal. All right, it wasn't Michael Phelps. We're good.
That's right. Do you hear the national anthem? I don't.
Yeah,
Who cares?
It's over.
No, we love everybody.
Yes.
It's a global community. So you are doing so many things. So, I mean, your book is awesome. I picked it up the other night. I've been going through it. A lot of words, but very, very, deep down words. You're talking about your story. So what made you want to write the book?
Great question.
Thank you.
Book was never on my radar. I don't know how it was for you.
No, it was done out of spite after being forced to a craft show and But anyway,
anyways, we all have our reasons, right? So I think for me, it was me going to a lot of clinics and public speaking events and telling my stories and people coming up to me afterwards and being like, hey, do you have a book?
Yeah.
Or, hey, you should write a book. And after a couple years of hearing it, I was like, well, I'm not swimming anymore, so I have time to do this now. Sure. So I kind of just went home, opened up my laptop, and I was like, all right, chapter 1, what am I doing here?
And I was born.
Yeah, literally. And so I did that for a couple months, probably 3 or 4 months of me just writing, outlining. And I'm not a writer, so I don't really know how to write a book. And it was kind of serendipitous where I was swimming open water at Narragansett Beach.
Okay.
And I met this woman named Beth Fair, who's from Narragansett. And we were just talking, oh, what do you like to do? And turns out she's an author.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, are you? Okay, well, I've got a proposal for you. And so then she agreed to help me, and she is pretty much the reason why we have the book now.
Sure.
Her guidance, her writing, just her being able to help me put my words on pages. Yeah. She was just terrific at that. So huge thanks to her. But yeah, it was probably over a 2-year process. Yeah. From me opening the laptop to me being like, hey, I have a book, it's published, it's out, go buy it. But a really, really cool process for me personally, because mine is obviously about my journey. And I think as athletes, and maybe for me in particular, a lot of my career was rainbows and butterflies, and people were like, wow, the North Kingstown girl, how cool, she's going to the Olympics.
Well, that's what everybody saw, but I'm sure there was a lot of behind the scenes, absolutely.
And it's the behind the scenes stuff that I really dug into And I was like, wow, like no one knows about this.
Yeah.
And like stuff my parents didn't even know about for my
you
swimming
almost
career.
like left the sport young, early
Yeah.
in your age. Coach
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, my coach was my everything to me. And in swimming, it's very rare to have a lot of coach turnover in that you kind of stick with your one coach and then maybe you'll switch coaches once again in your life. But for me, I had maybe a lot more turnover than the normal average swimmer. And, you know, my coach left as a 10-year-old. And to me, like my 10-year-old reality was just absolutely destroyed. And it was kind of like, well, wait, I was supposed to go to the Olympics with Josh. Like I was supposed to do all these things with him.
Right.
And so that almost did make me leave the sport. But of course, I'm 10 years old and picked up the pieces pretty fine.
Yeah.
And moved on. But
Evidently,
right?
Apparently,
it all worked out.
Yeah.
But it was really cool for me to really dive deep into my career because it's almost something you never think of while you're in the moment, while you're in your career. And then once you have the time and perspective to really look back on it and be like, whoa, like so many of these events that happened led to me and who I am today and why I am the person I am today, which was pretty cool for me to see and be like, oh, wow, that's definitely a trait that I've had my entire life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an amazing experience. Super happy that it's done because I'm just like, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in that, like, I want to be good at what I do. And so with the book, it was like staring at the Word document, reading every chapter every day, being like, is there one period that isn't where it's supposed to be?
And if there wasn't, you were going to hear about it within an hour of it being released.
Exactly.
On page 45,
the
3
comma,
lines down, should have been a semicolon. You used a colon.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's where it's just like, all right, I want it to be perfect. You only have one chance to publish it. You obviously know this. So super pumped that it went well and things are going smoothly.
You and going through that process of writing the book, were there moments like you like look back and it's like, oh, I totally forgot about this, and like really got a deeper dive and just had a better understanding for yourself?
Yes, and it happened more often than I thought it would because a lot of my book was me reaching out to old coaches, old teammates, and being like, hey, I remember this story, but like, what was your take on it? Am I getting the facts right, or do you have different facts? Because I wanted it to be obviously everything correct.
Sure,
Like,
absolutely.
you know?
Right.
And so I would get one take from a teammate, and then one take from a coach, and then my take, and we would merge it all together and be like, oh my gosh, that's literally what happened. Like, that's so nuts. Like, or like, wow, I didn't realize that I seemed that nervous or that like unconfident.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to also reach out to old coaches and teammates that I hadn't spoken to in years, because they obviously have their own side of the story. And it's like, I've every single person I come across now, I'm like, you don't need to write a book, but maybe just keep like a very loose account of like something cool that happens to you, because you're gonna want to look back on it one day and, you know, open that journal or whatever it is that you have and be like, oh my gosh, remember that one time and the emotions that I was having. And it's kind of something that I wish I had done more diligently throughout my swimming career. Like I had a journal from 3 of the Olympics that I went to, or all 3 of them. And it was crazy to see like the evolution of Elizabeth as a 15-year-old at the Olympics to Elizabeth as a 19-year-old to a 23-year-old, and like how I was feeling and documenting those emotions. And it was just a really cool thing to have and be able to reference to while writing. Because I was an absolute head case.
Really?
And didn't even know it. I was like, oh yeah, this is fine that I'm throwing up before every single race. So now I'm like, maybe not the best. So yeah, pretty cool.
So the book is going well. It's on Amazon. It's in local bookshops, especially if you're in the Rhode Island area, Barrington Books, and a bunch of different places. So it's a great read, and it's very inspiring. As I've been reading it, I will say this, it is very understandable for me, so any 3-year-old out there can read it and be fine. So if I can do it, absolutely. Well, you're working hard. Speaking of your education, obviously you went to school locally, but on top of your educational studies, you're also a musician. You are very proficient on the violin.
Thank you very much, Ben.
I should show you videos of me playing the accordion as a young child,
Oh my
but
gosh.
that would depress you.
We could start a band, though. It all takes practice.
Yes.
Ben has a future in accordion. He just doesn't know it.
Well, I got 3 of them. So,
Yeah,
you know,
right?
They're just
See,
home
you
collecting
even-
dust.
you have the
It's-
collection.
It is. No, but you're very proficient, actually. Some of the videos that you've shared on your social media of you and other swimmers like playing together
Yeah.
and stuff. I love that stuff. But how did you balance doing the music lessons with the swimming? Because that was a big part of your life growing up.
Yeah, no, I now look back on it and I'm like, Mom and Dad, you are angels from heaven. Like, you gave up your life for my brother and I. And it's like, it's true, because violin was actually something I started to do before swimming.
Okay.
I started when I was 3 years old. I went to some random birthday party and there was a violinist there. And I was
Isn't
like,
that always the way?
right? And for some weird reason, I was like, I love that violin. Like, I want to do that. And so for Christmas, got the violin. Obviously, my parents' ears were bleeding for the next few years, but, they endured that.
Hey,
and
price to pay.
Right, I know. But so I think violin was so great for me because it was my counter to swimming. And I felt as though a lot of times in my life where maybe swimming wasn't going well, I turned to violin, and that was kind of my balance. And so I think it's with anything in life, like regardless of what you do, if you only have one thing on your plate, you're going to get sick of it. At some point, you're not going to want that anymore. Or if it's taken away from you for some reason out of your control, like for me swimming, if I got injured or I got sick or my coach left or the team got cut, whatever it was, like I needed a plan B, something to fall back on. And violin for me was at a time as important as swimming, but then my swimming sort of went here and violin took a back seat.
Yeah.
But now that I'm at a point in my life where swimming isn't taking up 8 hours of my day, I can sort of dabble on violin a little bit more. Would definitely, like, I'm playing at 3 weddings this year, first dance songs or aisle songs.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's like cool because I'm finally getting into it in a way that I never thought I could.
Sure.
But it's because swimming's now over. So it's like, I'm no longer mourning the death of swimming, because that's kind of like my identity and who I am. But now I'm not just Elizabeth Beisel the swimmer. Like, I did write a book, I can play violin. And so I think for anybody, regardless of whether you're an Olympic swimmer or not, like if you just do it as a sport, like you need to have something to counter that and balance your life out, because you'll just go nuts if you don't have that.
No, you bring up a great point, and so many kids, I think young people, even young adults, when they get out of college, or if they're going through college and when they get out, they think, okay, I'm going to do this one thing. And before you know it, it's like, wait a second, I actually really hate this one thing. And I want nothing to do with it. And so going back, I like how you talk about the diversity of it. One of the things you do now, because I know you have this issue with being shy and being so soft-spoken.
Introvert.
You're really just, you go out a lot, and you're actually part of a group where you go and speak at various events all over the country, all over the world, really. How's that experience been for you?
It's been amazing. And it's like the adrenaline rush that I had when I was swimming, but without having to train 8 hours a day.
Sure.
So it's like a million times better, But it's really cool because I remember going to public speaking events, clinics when I was a young athlete and growing up through the sport, and hearing these people speak and being like, wow, I want to do that one day.
Sure.
Like they sort of planted a seed for me to be an Olympian one day. And I really want to do that and motivate kids to do that at some point in time.
Sure.
And so now that I have the platform and like the hardware to do it, it's really cool to go to these things and speak in front of kids that want to be me one day, or not necessarily me, but an Olympian one day. And to be able to instill the values of like, hey, listen, I am not Michael Phelps here. I don't have 28 Olympic medals. I'm 5'6". I have size 7.5 feet. Like, I'm not a freak of nature. I just really worked hard and I really believed in myself.
She just called Michael Phelps a freak of nature.
He's a freak, but I love him. But he is, he's the GOAT.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No swimmer will ever do what he did again. And if we do see it eventually, it's going to be in decades.
One of the things, we've kind of touched on this, though, is, going back and self-critique. That's something you do in music. It's something, obviously, I don't know because I'm not really an athlete, but every time you see, the players getting on the airplane after, a Patriots game or something, they're all handed a tablet or some sort, and they're looking at the plays right away, the self-evaluation. Michael Phelps was the same way. You're the same way. You looked at how, your form and everything, and it's so important. And, kind of touches back to what you were talking about, too, with just growing up with life and those journals. And, you wish you did more to kind of keep track. But the book is great. I mean, it all ties back to the book, which is awesome. So, have some fun questions for you now. Since we're in, the seaside community of Narragansett. Red, white, or clear chowder?
Ooh, white.
Okay, very good.
What about you?
I'm
going to throw these back to you.
I am a Manhattan red chowder, but it has to be what my grandmother makes it because she throws bacon in it.
Bacon?
You got to meet my grandmother.
All right. Grandma, you're getting a trip soon.
Just text her right now. Yeah. Start the pot.
Ben's grandma.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Does it have to be a brand or just like...
A flavor.
Okay, a flavor. Probably a cookie dough.
A cookie.
Ooh, oh, no, okay. As I was a child, now that I'm thinking, black raspberry from Brickley's.
Really?
Was my go-to as a child.
Wow.
Black raspberry at Brickley's. That's like my nostalgia.
Were you raised by like 85-year-olds?
No, I was, dude, I don't know.
Between that and maple walnut, that's the only two reasons those two exist is because of
I was the strangest child. I was like, my brother was like, oh, a chocolate or like salted caramel. No, black raspberry for Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
How many swimsuits have you owned in your lifetime to this point?
Over 1,000.
Really?
Easy.
Really?
I right now currently at least probably 100 in my closet right now.
Really?
With tags on them.
How many have you sent to the Smithsonian?
They have not asked for any.
How many? I mean, Rhode Island State House should have one. The
I agree.
Smithsonian
On
should
display,
have one.
on a
Absolutely.
mannequin,
Yeah, something like that.
We'll get on. I'll talk to somebody at the House of
Independent Man.
I know, on the top of the steakhouse.
When is National Swimming Day?
I don't know if there. Oh my gosh, there is an International Swimming Day.
It is right this date. It's this date right here.
We're gonna make it.
It's right there. You can see it. Okay, it's that date.
It's that date.
All right. On that date, we are gonna sneak into the Rhode Island State House.
Yes, we are.
Put
and we're gonna
one
dress.
of the Beisel swimsuit collection.
You know, there's a staircase to get up there.
Oh, I know.
It's like VIP.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet.
I was, I was gonna use the go-go copter, gadget helicopter to get you up there. But the
We'll get up there.
We're
we
on
know
that.
some people.
So just have to get through security. I have some phone calls to make. No, but you and what is something that people like? What is the craziest thing that you can share about your experience at the various Olympic Games? Like, not necessarily, like just something you never expected would be there, like, or happen, or like an experience. What is something like just the craziest thing that like all three was like, whoa?
I think the craziest thing for me, especially in my first Olympics as a 15-year-old, I'm there, I saw posters of Michael Phelps on my room and Ryan Lochte and all that stuff, is the dining hall, because it's where every single person has to eat. Regardless of if you're Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, or Elizabeth Beisel, that's where you get your food.
Okay.
And so I remember I'm in line, it's my first time in the dining hall, and I'm in line behind this massive 6'7", we'll call him, guy in Jamaica gear. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this man's so big. Like, who is he? He turns around, it is Usain Bolt.
Really?
And it's just like, everywhere you turn your head, you are like, wow, there is Simone Biles, the best gymnast in the world.
Sure.
There's Usain Bolt.
Right.
Oh, Michael Phelps is on my team. It's these athletes that you literally idolize, whether you see them at the Olympics or on ESPN or like wherever it is. And so it's almost like a kick in the head, because you're like, I'm here with them.
Sure.
I am on the same level as these athletes.
Yeah.
And it's humbling, because you're like, wow, they are so much better than me. But then you're also like, wait, but
you're at their level.
But I'm there too.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a really interesting dynamic, because I'm starstruck.
Yeah.
But then I also feel like weird that I'm starstruck.
So let's flip that, because that was your experience at 15, 1923.
23, yes.
23-year-old. Mm-hmm. What was it like for you then when you had people or younger athletes coming up to you and saying, "You're Elizabeth Beisel"?
Yeah.
I mean, that happened.
Yeah.
And so how was that like? Kind of, was there? Do you did you see like a kind of dichotomy there between the two? Like, okay,
yeah.
we've come full circle.
Full circle is exactly how I explain it, because I was like that shy 15-year-old, believe it or not, very shy. Just intimidated is better use of the word, and then I go from that shy Elizabeth to, all right, captain of the team, and I'm walking around the dining hall and I'm like, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? You know, like people from other countries, and people are coming up to me and my teammates for photos, like knowing my name, knowing what I've done before. And it really is cool because, like, back to what I was saying earlier, I'm not a freak of nature. What I want to do is inspire people through my normalcy.
Sure.
And be like, listen, I'm a small town Rhode Island girl who happened to go to 3 Olympics.
Sure.
And it's because I worked hard and believed in the dreams that I had and made the sacrifices that I needed to make. Sure. And that's another thing. It's like, I try to tell these kids is, you don't just wake up one morning and, oh, you're an Olympian. Yeah. Or like, oh, you're the best at what you do.
Right.
It's years and years and years of hard work. But if you love what you're doing and you really do have that end goal, crazy things can happen.
Sure.
And like, I think I am the biggest like advocate for that. And listen, my parents weren't swimmers. It's not like the Olympics run in my family.
Sure, this was just something that kind of presented itself in an offbeat chance. So
right. So
sounds to me like the Olympics is very much like summer camps. Like you come back like after a couple of years, like, hey, how was your year?
No, it is. So, it literally is, and it's so cool because like you kind of in the swimming world, you kind of know what's happening throughout the other countries and who's going to be on the team and stuff. But the other athletes that we become friends with, we become really close with track and field people. Yeah. The gymnasts we become really close with. And so it's really cool to kind of like see their evolution as a team, where maybe you have an Allie Raisman who's on a couple teams, but then the turnover rate for gymnasts is a lot. So you're meeting new gymnasts every year, but then track and field people are always the same. So it's just cool because you get to know the other athletes and it, just like you get to talk to them about, oh, well, how do you guys train? Or like, what do you guys do differently than us for recovery? And in the dining hall too, because all of us are eating different foods and quantities, so it's really eye-opening.
I had this idea while we were driving, literally just a few minutes ago.
I love epiphany moments.
Why is there not a circle pool? Like, instead of swimming and like doing little flippy turn things and coming backwards, like, why not have like a pool that's like a track, just wide enough, like an oval, and I've
actually never thought of that. And so here
we are trademarking this right now.
Right.
It is called the Beisel Ben pool model. You cannot take it.
The B squared pool.
Thank you. The
Listen.
education comes through now. 7th grade was awesome both times.
Right, I know. Look how far we've made it.
I know, I'm driving you around in a car with GoPros. Looks like we made it!
I think why there is not a circle pool is because there is open water swimming.
Oh.
And so, okay, actually, listen to this. So we as pool swimmers, we dub ourselves pool swimmers if we're racing in a pool, obviously. But all open water swimmers train predominantly in the pool.
Okay.
And what we would do at University of Florida, which is my alma mater where I swam, for the open water swimmers on a Saturday, we would take the lane lines out of the pool and the open water swimmers would just swim the circumference of the pool for like 4 hours.
Would you dump in like wildlife and stuff just to simulate the open water?
Kelp? Listen to this. Not kelp or fish, but the coaches would throw in like beach balls and like literal inanimate objects, because when you're swimming in open water,
you're not watching waves. You're not
It's waves are coming up. There's other people. It's actually a contact sport because you're elbowing people, trying to get ahead of them, or you're pulling on ankles. And so they would try to simulate that without being aggressive. Like, we're not throwing like medicine balls at them, like chugging it down. But we'd be like, oh,
here's a Coast Guard buoy.
Right. Boom.
15 tons of metal.
So literally, but so like
rogue jet skier.
Yeah, right. But you can get like warning cards, red cards in open water swimming for being too physical. Yeah. So the open water swimmers, I argue, are a lot tougher than the pool swimmers because they're literally like beating each other to get to the finish.
It's where we separate the men from the boys.
Yeah.
The open water
Stay
swimmers.
with the boys. In
You
the pool.
enjoy the comfort of your pool.
Yeah.
And the lifeguard.
While we like
Exactly.
elbow each other in the face. It's insane. And then on top of that, they're doing it for a 10K or a 25K.
Yeah. That's a
Swimming.
lot. That's a
like,
lot of Ks.
Not running, like
yeah.
swimming.
No, that's
It's too
not,
much for
yeah,
me.
no,
I agree.
not
I
into
keep it to
no.
a 4-minute race and
Seriously,
I'm good.
that was your jam.
I'm all set.
So now that you are done with the swimming
Yep.
and you're doing other things, what do you like to do for fun, your free time?
Free time, if there's waves, I love to go surf.
Okay.
Grew up basically in Saunderstown, so super close to Narragansett.
Yep.
And
Longboard, shortboard.
if the waves are bigger, I prefer shortboard. I like
Okay.
to have a little bit more fun.
Okay.
But I mean, longboard's always good on like a low-key day.
Pretty much survival in Rhode Island surfing.
Right, I know. So surfing when there is waves.
Yeah.
I really like to just honestly be outside.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that means like going on a hike or like a run. I love wakeboarding, like literally anything on the water.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Okay.
So get me on a boat, wakeboarding, like being physical, going for an open water swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to play music. That's like something that I have always loved to do.
Sure.
Outside of the pool, but yeah, and you know, whatever it is to like keep my mind sharp, because this might sound crazy, but I do feel like while I was writing the book, I almost got smarter. You know, like just like writing a lot more, and like I hadn't used my brain
Sure.
at the like capacity that I was
you were
using it in
activating
college.
different capacities of it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
sure,
Like
sure.
I'm better at some things now than I am when I was in college, but have loved to like get more into reading now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I just feel better mentally
That's-
about my brain.
that's
So
interesting.
read.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
You have a significant other at this
do.
time.
I do.
The lovely gentleman whom you met on a television show.
I know, it's crazy.
People might have seen
It's
it.
crazy
was
where you
not,
find people.
Was not available on public access. It was actually on CBS. Survivor. What was that like?
Yeah, it was nuts. I think the one like blinding thing to me was that it was real.
Okay.
Like you are. I went into it being like, oh, there must be secret bathrooms. There must be a bed that I sleep in. You
Right.
know, they can't possibly be sleeping in a monsoon on bamboo. Nope. Newsflash, you are. And it was really interesting because, you know, I've never built a shelter. I've never had to like literally go spearfishing to like eat.
Sure.
And like make sure that I'm living.
Why go spearfishing when you can go to Iggy's?
Right, exactly. So it was cool kind of like going back in time and being like, wow, this is really what it was like. Like these people really had it rough.
This is really what it was like. All
Yeah.
the people like trying to do stuff, all camera people walking
Right,
around,
right,
you know,
and you know,
fully nourished and
Yeah.
everything. You're like, wow,
Looking healthy.
did you enjoy that sandwich or the spread for lunch? Was it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah,
It's-
sorry, keep going.
You were trying to make fire and
yeah,
stay warm?
yeah, no, exactly. But it was really eye opening. But I think what I loved most about it was that I didn't have my phone.
You mentioned that the other day
Yeah.
on Studio 10.
Yeah, it was like such a nice detox from social media, because I do feel like there's a certain amount of pressure on everybody to post and like show your life and what you're up to, and to not even have that accessible
Yeah.
or that as an option was really nice to just be in the moment.
Yeah.
And be like, wow, I am watching the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my life on Fiji.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about taking a picture of it or not and putting a filter on it and posting it to Instagram. Like,
Now-
you were just living it.
Now, did you have a chance to talk to the producers and say, look, you guys think Fiji is awesome? We have Prudence Island. Survivor Prudence Island. I think that
I
would
agree.
be a thing.
I think it would be amazing. And
That-
then have all the boat people on like Memorial Day weekend just
Exactly.
like watch the people in Survivor in the wild.
It'd
like,
be a live version.
I think it was brilliant.
Well,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, Rhode Island, we've got it going on.
We've got
Yeah.
we got the means to do it. The question is, would you do it in the wintertime? Would you do it in the
Ooh.
summertime?
Wintertime would be brutal.
They'd just be a
How
ton of
bad do you want those $1 million?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
it. To worry about deer ticks more than
Yeah, I
anything.
know.
Well, Elizabeth, people can follow you on social media. They can keep in touch with you. If you are interested in having her reach out to the organization. We'll tag it in the comments below and stuff because, I mean, your speech, yes, is for youth, but it can also be, you can also speak to those Fortune 500, and I hear those gigs pay pretty well.
I've heard that as well. So if you know a guy who knows a guy, let me know.
They pay a lot better than an appearance in a carpooling with Ben. So I'm just going to tell you that. So
yeah, but are they as fun as this?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Not
at all. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
hopping in
much,
the car.
Ben.
Great stuff.